Teachers, what made you punch a student? I was forced to leave the school in handcuffs, but it was worth it seeing that 15-year-old bleed everywhere. When I started teaching at my school district, I noticed that we had a lot of teen moms. We have so many, in fact, that we actually allow them to bring their child to class as part of our inclusive continued education program. As long as the child can stay quiet, they can stay in class. If not, they have to go to the school daycare. Even though we had a lot of teen moms, no one in a million years would have expected that Annie, who had a 4.1 GPA, would come back to school pregnant after summer. Annie was every teacher's favorite student. She was smart, witty, and wasn't the kind of girl that got pushed over. She was a star athlete on the basketball and lacrosse teams, and took a lot of pride in hosting safe parties for everyone. For all we knew, Annie wanted to work for the FBI, and she probably will too. But when she had her baby, everything tanked. She started sleeping in class, and she was barely coasting by academically because she was so tired that she never got the time to study. All of her friends who were jealous of her suddenly all turned on her and beat her down over the fact that she's a teen mom. As her homeroom teacher, I did my very best to make sure that I was always on her side no matter what. I came to school with baby food stocked in a mini fridge, diapers in my drawer, and little rattles for the baby to play with. Even though I did my best to give her support, her classmates made it impossible, especially what they did to her on Halloween. During Halloween, we usually have our quarterly exams, so that means everyone's studying extra hard to pass. Unfortunately, Annie is an overachiever, so she tried to study harder than usual to get her usual grades, but that took a massive nosedive. During lunchtime time, she fell asleep while feeding her baby, and when she woke up from the bell, her baby was gone. She had a public freak out and started screaming, crying, and throwing food because no one would tell her where her baby was. She saw some kids laughing and screamed, asking where they put her baby, and they said something along the lines of she had to go potty. Annie ran out the lunchroom and checked every bathroom in the school. When she reached the top floor, she heard a sound coming from the trash can. She opened the trash can and heard cries. She threw out tampons and tissues, and underneath it all found a baby. It wasn't hers. It was one of those screaming babies from Spirit Halloween. On the baby was a note that said, "Smart people know how to wear protection." Annie had a complete breakdown in the bathroom and ended up coming to my classroom where I was taking care of her baby. She screamed at me, asking why I had her baby, but I was completely clueless at the time. I told her that I was told by one of her lacrosse teammates to take care of the baby while she napped. When she explained what happened, something switched in me. I found her lacrosse teammate and gave her the meanest backhand ever. She ended up spinning onto the floor and bleeding out of her nose. People called me crazy for doing that over a prank, but none of them knew that Annie was assaulted by a college student and didn't have a choice but to have the baby. I was promptly fired from the school, but Annie and I still keep in contact. I actually babysit for her whenever she's needed at the mayor's office.